In the last few weeks, Italian football has been getting cooked. Forget it, in the last few months, Italian football has been getting cooked online. It's Inter getting slapped 5-0 in the Champions League final. Napoli, the league holders, failing to make it past the group stage. Juve getting pumped 5-2. Juve getting knocked out by PSV. Italian football since June, since 2025 to now, it's been a humiliation ritual. It's been a humiliation ritual. The Italian national team is set to not make their third World Cup in a row. The Italian football team is set to not make their third World Cup in a row. They haven't won a group stage match since 2000. They haven't won a knockout match, in the World Cup since 2006. I wasn't even alive. I was semen. And I want to talk about how badly Italian football has fallen. I want to give my thoughts on Italian football, but to talk about how far they've fallen, I have to talk about how high they once soared. In the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, Italy, the Serie A, was the hub of football. If you wanted to play football at the highest level, you went to Italy. Between 1989 and between 1989 to the year 2000, you had Italian teams in 8 Champions League finals, and they won 4 of them. Sampdoria, AC Milan, Juventus, they were making it to finals upon finals upon finals. Arrigo Sacchi's AC Milan, Marcello Lippi's Juventus. The Serie A dominated European football. When we talk about Ballon d'Or winners, about 5, in the 1990s alone, 5 Ballon d'Or winners won it at Italian clubs. 6 if you include R9 1997, but I'm not trying to include that because he won it from his time at Barcelona. But 5, Lothar Matthäus, Van Basten, Zidane, Baggio. It's peak. Italian football dominated football into the 2000s. The Italian football team won the 2006 World Cup. They got to the 1994 World Cup final. They had players like Roberto Baggio, Maldini, Costa Cotta, Tassotti, Buffon. Shevchenko played in the league. Kaká played in the league. Zidane played in the league. This is like, when we talk about Italian football today, we try to look at it through the lens of that time. We try to hold them to that standard, but them days are long gone. And why did this league fall? The downfall of this league came in 2006, right after they won the World Cup. They reached the pinnacle of football, and from there it was just a downward spiral. Calciopioli just destroyed the league. The scandal Calciopioli, I don't know how to say it correctly, my bad. I'm not Shave TV Luca. But it's the worst scandal in Italian football. It's the worst footballing scandal in the world, in my opinion. Let me just explain how it went down. Okay, in the mid to early 2000s, Juventus is getting investigated. They're getting investigated because there's a lot of allegations. There's a lot of allegations that in the 1990s, the players were doping. There's a lot of allegations, so they were investigated. They tapped phones, they did this investigation secretly. And when they tapped the phones, the things they heard, when they were carrying out this investigation, what they heard was insane. Juventus, under their general manager, Luciano Moggi, what they were doing is they were match-fixing games by hand-picking referees who they thought would be favourable to Juventus. There was multiple phone calls between Luciano Moggi and Pairetto, who was the designator of referees, okay? There was so much phone calls between them where Luciano Moggi would call him saying, "Oh, bro, what's wrong with you? Why did you give us that referee? Next week, give us this specific referee." Bro, it was so peak, they had an entire system designated. He created an entire system to designate referees. Brother was doing maths. He created a mathematical system just to pick the referees he thought would be favourable to Juventus. And the people who were investigating this, they couldn't even take this to the Italian Federation because people in the Italian Federation was involved. Berlusconi, who was once the owner of AC Milan and the Prime Minister of Italy, he was involved. The Prime Minister of Italy is involved in your footballing scandal. What the hell is going on in your league? What's going on in your league? And it wasn't even just handpicking referees. He would actively go out and destroy referees' reputations. There was a referee called, let me try to get this name correct, Paparetta, I think it was. He disallowed 2 Juventus goals, okay, in one game. He then went to all his friends in the media. He said, "Okay, guys, we're going to criticize this referee till the end of the earth," until eventually Paparetta, he went and resigned. This is how bad it was. A referee got cooked so bad, he went and resigned. And then eventually Juventus, they were found guilty. They were given so much. And oh, by the way, it wasn't just Juventus doing this. When they were carrying out the investigation, AC Milan was found guilty. Fiorentina, Lazio, and Regina was found guilty. And all of them were given, bans. All of them were given points deductions. All of them were given, they were stripped of anything they won during that period. Juventus was stripped of the 04-05 Serie A title and the 05-06 Serie A title. And then Juventus, they got the harshest one from, I don't know why they got the harshest one when it wasn't just them, but they got relegated to Serie B. They got their title stripped and they got relegated to Serie B. And then they thought, we got them all right, that's fine. But I don't know why AC Milan was allowed to participate in the 2007 Champions League final. They beat Liverpool, my team, to win it, but okay, whatever. Then they carried on these investigations a few years later, bear in mind, they gave the 04-05 Serie A and 05-06 Serie A title to Inter Milan. They said, you know what, Inter Milan, you came second, we'll give the Serie A title to you. A few years later, Inter Milan is also found guilty. And it's not just Inter Milan. Inter Milan is found guilty. Brescia is found guilty. Cagliari is found guilty. Chievo Verona is found guilty. Milan is found guilty. Palermo is found guilty. Regina is found guilty. Udinese is found guilty. The whole league is guilty. The whole league was getting some. They thought, you know what, Juventus, you were cheating? No. The whole league is cheating. Everyone's getting some. You Brescia, Cagliari, Verona, Milan, Palermo, Regina. The whole league's cheating, bro. And then they found out Inter's cheating, but they couldn't punish any of those clubs that they found out about years later. They couldn't punish those clubs because it fell outside of that statute of limitations because too much time has passed. Now they're not guilty anymore. The whole league's cheating. And all this did was it ruined the reputation of the Italian league forever. Ever since Calciopioli, so much players are leaving. In 2006, hold on a minute. In 2006, Thuram went to Barcelona. Cannavaro went to Real Madrid. 2009, Kaká leaves. Shevchenko leaves. So many players leave the Serie A. And I give you a challenge. I challenge you to go into the Serie A. Go through every single team. Find me one world-class player. I dare you. Find me one world-class player. In the 1990s, I told you, they had 4 Ballon d'Or winners in the 1990s alone that came from the Serie A. Baggio, Zidane, countless names, Lothar Matthäus. I dare you, go into Serie A, find me one world-class player. Bear in mind, my definition of world-class is you have to be the best player in your position. I'll even let it slide. You can be top 2 players in your position. The only players I could think of were possibly DiMarco and Dumfries. Bear in mind, Dumfries been injured for this whole season, basically. Go into the Serie A, find me a world-class player. I promise you can't. The Serie A today, compared to what the Serie A was, compared to what it was 20 to 30 years ago, this is now a Sunday league. Compared to what it was 30 years ago, this is the Sunday league. And a lot of people, you can go, okay, but the league is still very competitive. Fuck the competitiveness. The championship is competitive. The competitiveness of a league is not... The competitiveness of a league does not show its level. The competitiveness of a league and the level of a league don't go hand in hand. The Serie A is extremely competitive. You have different winners every year. 2021, you had Inter. 2022, you had Milan. 23, Napoli. 24, who was it? I don't even remember. 24, I think it was Milan again, Inter Milan again, then Napoli again. You have different winners each year. It's exciting. There's always a title race. Last year, it went down to the wire. But I promise you, the level of the league, you have people like Daniel Malen, reserves for Aston Villa. He was signed by Aston Villa, didn't do very well. He was sold 6 months later. He goes into play for Roma, scores 5 goals in 5 games. Scott McTominay. I'm not even going to use Scott McTominay as an example because he was misprofiled by it in his time at Manchester United. But the league, the level of the league today, like I said, go into the league, find me a world-class player. I dare you. You can't. The closest you can come is Dumfries or Kenan Yildiz. Those are the only 2 players I think you can genuinely say are world-class players from that league. It's stinky. But I do believe in the last few weeks, since Inter Milan got kicked out by Bodo Glimt and Juventus got lost 5-2, I think people have blown out of proportion how bad the league is. Okay, bear in mind, in people are blowing how bad the Serie A is out of proportion. Slightly, in my opinion. I do believe the level is really bad, but people are blowing it out of proportion. In 2023, Inter got to a final. Whether they lost or not, they got to a final, and they were the better team on the night. They were the better team on the night in that 2023 final against Man City. I remember that. They definitely should have equalized. If Lukaku didn't place a bet against Inter Milan, they would have won that game. 2025, slap 5-0. But again, they still got to the final. They knocked out Barcelona. They knocked out. They beat Arsenal along the way. They beat so many teams along the way. 2024, Atalanta Bergamo goes ahead with and wins the Europa League, beating Bayer Leverkusen, who were on to win an invincible treble. They went and beat them. And Napoli, people are saying, "Oh, your league title, the league holder is, they got knocked out in the group stage. They couldn't even make top 24 in Europe." Look at their squad. The whole team was injured. Lukaku injured. De Bruyne injured. Sambo Anguissa injured. Lobotka, Gilmore, all these players are injured. David Neres injured. Di Lorenzo injured. So I think it's unfair to go ahead and put so much blame on Napoli. Oh, your league title holders are out. Imagine Liverpool. Soboslai's injured. Salah's injured. Ekitike is injured. Wirtz is injured. McAllister is injured. Robertson is injured. Kirk is Rimpo. Imagine we had all those players out. Come on, it's unfair to say, look at your league. I do think people are blowing it out of proportion slightly. But comparing the league from the 1990s to the 2020s, the difference in level of that league, what's been going on? People complain a lot of the time AC Milan's owners are bad. Bear in mind, AC Milan's owners in the 1990s, the owners that Italy had in the 1990s, 1980s, they had I want to say the name right, the Agnelli family, I think it was, the Agnelli family who ran Juventus, really rich family. You had in the 1980s, 1990s, Berlusconi with AC Milan pumping so much money into the squad. Maybe you can argue today with the owners that these Italian clubs have today, maybe it's their fault, not necessarily the league's fault, but their fault. But when you look at the league and you look at the difference in level, oh my God, there's not a single world-class player in this league. You can go into the Bundesliga and say, you can pick out Kane, Michael Olise. You can go into the La Liga, Lamine Yamal, Kylian Mbappe. You can go into the Premier League, Haaland, all of these different players. In the Serie A, you can go into PSG. The current Ballon d'Or holders there in the Ligue 1. Serie A, there's not a single world-class player. And I want to wrap up this video talking about the Italian football national team. And I want to give you a quote. There's a long quote, I'm not reading all that, bro. But I'm going to give you part of the quote by Gianluigi Buffon, one of the greatest goalkeepers in history, if not the greatest goalkeeper in history, Italian legend. He said, "For 20 years, we've been ashamed of who we are. For 20 years, I felt like we have to play like Spain. We've abandoned our history, and because of that, our talent has disappeared. Players like Ciro Ferreira, Fabio Cannavaro, today we'd be embarrassed to put them on the pitch. Chiellini wouldn't play today because he doesn't play line-breaking passes. Italy's historic matches were built on defending to the death, on team containment, on the cohesion of the result. Now it seems like we're uncomfortable with that." He's basically saying Italy have lost their what's it called? My vocabulary. Italy have lost their soul, is what he's saying. Gianluigi Buffon is saying that Italy have lost their soul, and I can't disagree with him. When you look at Italy is based on Italy's football, Italian football has always been based on a single principle of catenaccio, which means doorbolt. It translates to doorbolt football, defend to the death football. When you look at their best ever teams, when you go into the Arrigo Sacchi's Milan team, what they were built on, defense, Baresi, Tassotti, Costa Corta. They were built on staunch defense. When you go to Capello's AC Milan team, Baresi, Maldini, Desai, they're built on a staunch defense. It's always, and it's the thing with Italy. This is why they prefer older, seasoned players to young, explosive talents, because they want this doorbolt catenaccio. They prioritize cohesion, experience, defensive solidarity over anything. And today, they seem like they're ashamed of that. They seem like they have to play this expansive football that gets you out of your seat. I don't believe that. I don't believe you have to do anything. I think the same goes for England too. England's built off high intensity football. Get the ball up to your strikers, win your second balls, finish your dinner. That sort of football. But these days we're obsessed with we have to play the Spanish way. Why? Because Pep did something great with Barcelona. Because Vicente del Bosque did something great with Spain. Why do we have to do that? It's disgraceful. Every nationality, every country has their own way of playing football. Spain has their beautiful tiki-taka way. Beautiful for them. England have their high-intensity football. Germans have their gegenpress. Italy have their catenaccio. Why should we be ashamed of ourselves? And Italy today are ashamed of themselves. Again, I challenge you to do this again. Go into the Italian national football team. Find me one world-class player. I dare you. You cannot. Nothing. They haven't reached a World Cup fight. They haven't reached a World Cup since 2010, 2014. They haven't reached a World Cup, a knockout stage since 2006. I was seaman. Italian football is in the toilet. 2018 World Cup, 2022 World Cup, 2026 World Cup. who knows if they're even gonna make it. They have to fight to the deaths in March just to make it to that World Cup. It's disgusting. Italian football. I wish every day that I was alive to witness that sort of football, man. I wish I was there to watch Materazzi and Rui Costa and Seedorf and Kaká and Pirlo. I wish I was there to watch all of these players. Instead, I have to watch flipping Daniel Marlon and David Neres. Do you understand? Italian football in the toilet, okay. But I do at the same time believe people are blowing it out of proportion. They're making it seem like they're like anyone can walk into that league and win it. I don't think that's the case. But flipping heck, son. They have to sort it out. Calciopioli ruined the league. They're ashamed of themselves. Even another thing, there's not really much world-class like talents even coming out of Italy. You know, they have this one player called Pio Esposito. He's not he's like, do you understand? Like, compared to the other leagues and the talents they have on display, it's not that great, is it? It's not that great. And again, you could put that down to the Italian principle. They prefer older players to younger players, and maybe that's holding younger players back. You could argue that, but Serie A, this is Wize telling you. This is Wize, the wise man Wize is telling you, fix up, man. Fix up, bro. Stay wise.